Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly break down how Real Betis looked to stop Barcelona and how Quique Setien's men were able to overcome their tactics. But before we do that, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on our road to 3K subscribers. When we break down the game and we do look at the board, we have Barcelona shifting into a midfield diamond with Vidal at the tip, just in behind Griezmann and Messi. We also ended up seeing Real Betis in more of a 4-1-4-1. So what we have here for Barcelona is that midfield overload. And it was always going to be interesting to see how Real Betis would look to stop Barcelona from dominating this game. And initially, we did see Real Betis cause Barca some problems. The manner in which they pressed was unique, but they were able to cause Barcelona lots of problems when they try to play out of the back. And the manner that you do try to press a team that has that 4v3 battle does need to see one player sacrifice his positioning. What we often see is that strikers look to close down the center backs, but in this 4v3 battle, if you are playing in a 4-5-1 with a lone striker, what you need the striker to do is drop off on that spare midfielder that is in that deep lying role to close him down and ensure that he can't get on the ball. So what we ended up seeing here from Real Betis was we had Borja Iglesias sitting on Busquets, and then we saw Alenya and Fakir stepping out to Lenglet and Umtiti. So they closed down Barcelona's back three with their front three. And then you have the midfield battle set. Rodriguez sticking onto Vidal, William Carvalho and Canales against De Jong and Sergio Roberto. And what you want now is for Emerson and Moreno to push forward and close down the fullbacks. If they couldn't get to the fullbacks in time based off their positioning, we would have Fakir or we would see Alenya look to block off the passing lane into the fullback, but still being able to press the center back. And then when we look to Barcelona's front two, we had Real Betis' center backs closing them down and marking them tightly across the pitch. So Real Betis' pressing did play a key role throughout this game. In the opening stages of that match, we saw the pros and the cons of it. Initially, it did allow the host to take the lead, and we ended up seeing Fakir dispossess Semedo with his pressing, and he was able to drive that goal, skipping past Sergio Busquets, Sergio Roberto, and Umtiti to break into the box, but he fired a shot off Lenglet's hand, and we ended up seeing Barcelona penalized for a penalty that Sergio Canales did convert. So in the opening stages, we see how Barcelona can be troubled by Real Betis' pressing, but when we do assess how Barcelona looked to overcome that, we found routes that they did exploit to bypass the press. One would be varying the positioning of their key players. Lionel Messi in particular wasn't sticking up front ahead of Batra. We did see Griezmann often keep his role ahead of Mandy, and he was dropping off a bit deeper and kind of shifting out into wider areas on the given occasion. But Messi often dropped off into a deeper position ahead of William Carvalho and ahead of Fakir to pick up the ball. You're not going to have Batra track him across that pitch. And the one key thing here about varying your movement is that if you're able to influence the game around the final third, then this is a successful ploy for a team that is dealing with a high press. So Messi dropped off into those positions to get on the ball, and we often saw De Jong, who had arguably one of his best games in a Barcelona shirt, pushing forward when Messi dropped off into those zones. So you have De Jong often running off Sergio Canales, and he often positioned himself ahead of the center backs and looked to receive the ball in between the lines. What was also key about De Jong here was that he was winning individual battles, skipping past defenders, and that was something that Barcelona do need given the fact that they lack presence in the box. That was the reason why they started Vidal, and with Vidal looking to push forward, it ensures that there is a balance up front because Messi is going to drop off into those zones, and if no one else is pushing forward, you only have Griezmann, you have Vidal who can push forward and offers a goal threat, and then De Jong was pushing into key areas, and it was about him getting away from his runners to find those positions. And like I said, when he did receive the ball, he was able to beat defenders, and that is pivotal. So you have Messi dropping off deeper to conduct the play and create chances, and then you have runners in behind. And that's simply what Lionel Messi needs if Barcelona is going to be successful this season. And when you do assess Barcelona bypassing Betis' press, it stemmed with Messi dropping deeper, but we also had runs from Vidal, from De Jong, and there was also an avenue on that left-hand side where Nelson Semedo Moreno was constantly able to push forward beyond Fakir, who wasn't tracking his runs, and that often led to Moreno's having to step into his path. But the one issue that Barcelona had here is that when Semedo was played into good positions, he was unable to get the better of Moreno or to find that final pass in those key areas. So we break down Barcelona's first goal. We end up seeing Lenglet pushing forward ahead of Alenya, and we end up seeing Firpo being pressed by Emerson. Lenglet plays the ball just across Alenya, and it just gets by Emerson, who try to shift over towards De Jong, and De Jong receives and he's able to turn away from Sergio Canales. When we see De Jong pushing forward, he also locates Messi shifting out to the right channel away from Batra. What ends up happening there is that he slides the ball across William Carvalho and Moreno for Messi, and when Messi picks up that ball ahead of William Carvalho, we see Sergio Roberto making a run on the overlap. So Sergio Roberto makes an overlapping run. We have Vidal marked out of the game by Rodriguez, and we also see Griezmann marked out of the game by Mandi. But what isn't picked up is the run of De Jong, who continues his run off Sergio Canales and darts in between Fernandes and Batra to receive Messi's ball over the top, and De Jong does well to bring the ball down and side foot his effort past the keeper. But in that sequence right there, we see how Barcelona can bypass a high press. We have De Jong winning that individual battle. We have Messi shifting positions to receive the ball. And because Messi is arguably the best passer in the game, he's able to locate De Jong's run. And what it takes from De Jong now is the composure to bring the ball down and the coolness to finish superbly. And that was the difference maker there. But shortly after that, we continue to see more of Messi's movement into different positions to help Barcelona create chances. So when we look to the next example, this time we have Real Betis dropping off into a 4-5-1. So this is when they aren't applying the press. And that's an interesting theme to also break down, because you're not applying the press. You have Iglesias sometimes stepping to the center backs, and that leaves Busquets free. There were times where we did see William Carvalho step forward to try and close down Busquets, and that would often force Fakir to shift over into the path of Sergio Roberto, but that also leaves space for Semedo to push forward, and that was the gamble that they did take. Nonetheless, when they dropped off into that 4-5-1, Barcelona were still able to find avenues, and much easier this time. You have Lenglet pushing forward, and there's no press on him, and he's able to locate Griezmann shifting out ahead of Moreno to receive the ball as William Carvalho is pushing forward to try and close down a marker. What we end up seeing now here is Lenglet clips that ball out to Griezmann, and Griezmann locates the run of Messi off of Rodriguez in between the center backs. We also have Vidal making a run in between Emerson and Mandi so that Mandi can't push forward. And what we end up seeing here is that Griezmann's able to play the ball across Moreno, and it ends up splitting Moreno and Batra to meet Messi making a darting run in between the center backs in right half space. And luckily for Betis, Messi's scooped effort was pushed away from point blank range. But in that example, once again, we have Lenglet having time on the ball, but we see Griezmann moving away from the press, and he's able to influence the game in a different position. He's not staying static. He's able to pick up the ball in various areas, and he's able to make the difference because, like I said, in those man-v-man presses, varying your movement and winning individual battles is key. They vary the movement with Griezmann. Messi won the individual battle by running off Rodriguez and the center backs, and Barcelona should have scored there. Nonetheless, we did see Messi continue to shift into those positions ahead of William, whether it be Canales or Fakir there. He was able to pick up the ball once from Sergio Roberto, who was positioned high ahead of Moreno, and he ended up dropping off the ball back into the path of Messi, who was able to split Fakir and William to find Semedo breaking forward, but he took his touch across Moreno, who was able to shield it out. And then shortly after that, we ended up seeing Messi pick up the ball ahead of William and Canales to split them both, finding Vidal dropping off of Rodriguez. Vidal played the ball back to Messi, and he was able to find a gap in between Moreno and Fakir for Semedo breaking forward. And although Semedo got away from Moreno breaking into the box, he had to hold off that challenge, and it allowed Batra to come across to make a sliding tackle. So you can see how Barcelona were able to get away from Betis' press. Nonetheless, Real Betis pressing still forced them into some issues as that first half wore on. Initially, it was a Vidal mistake in midfield, and his heavy touch was picked up by Rodriguez into Canales. And Canales played the ball across Busquets into Fakir, who was way ahead of Semedo and in between Semedo and Umtiti. Fakir was able to break towards goal, and what we ended up seeing there was Borja Iglesias darting in between the center backs, but then peeling off Lenglet into the right half space to take him out of position, and Fakir was able to fire a low effort past Ter Stegen. He was the key player for Betis in that first half. He scored that second goal, he was able to create the penalty, and he forced two Barcelona players into bookings as he was looking to break into transition, and that just goes to show how much fear Barcelona had when he picked up the ball in those areas. Following Fakir's goal, we ended up seeing Real Betis shift into another pressing pattern, and that also forced Barcelona into some issues. We ended up seeing Borja Iglesias step into the path of Lenglet. We had Alenia stepping into Umtiti, with Busquets dropping off deeper and no Borja Iglesias stepping towards him. William Carvalho ended up pushing forward, and that ended up seeing Moreno shift into the path of Sergio Roberto. And on that opposite flank, we still had Emerson pushing high on Firpo, and we saw Fakir step into the path of De Jong. And when a pass was played into Sergio Roberto, like I said, he was closed down by Moreno, and Alenia did step in as well to help dispossess the Barcelona player. And shortly after that, we saw something similar with Umtiti being closed down by Borja Iglesias. We saw Fakir stepping into the path of Semedo. William Carvalho stepped into the path of Sergio Busquets. Canales wasn't marking anyone across that pitch. Emerson shifted out into the path of De Jong, and Alenia was wary of the ball being played into the path of Lenglet. And although Umtiti was able to split Fakir and Borja Iglesias, the ball went into the path of Sergio Roberto, who was closed down once again by Moreno, forcing him to knock the ball out of play. And Moreno stepping into the path of Sergio Roberto was based off the fact that William Carvalho was now pushing into the path of Sergio Busquets. So they found a new way to frustrate Barcelona, and luckily for Barca, they were able to convert from a Messi set piece, where we ended up seeing William Carvalho and Lenglet and Batra miss that free kick into the box, and Busquets was able to bring it down and finish superbly from point-blank range. So even when we look to the second half, the overall pattern of the match didn't change. Barcelona had more control in the second half because we didn't see much of Betis' pressing, and we ended up seeing Betis struggle to retain possession of the ball, and that was pivotal to allowing Barca back into the game. But Barca were able to get Messi into good goal scoring positions, and the other key factor here was the fact that they were still able to get Semedo down that right hand side beyond Fakir. Initially we had Umtiti push forward, and he was closed down by Borja Iglesias. He was able to clip the ball over Fakir into the path of Semedo. Semedo did have to go into a challenge with Moreno, and he didn't win it, but he was able to get back the loose ball, and he poked it into the path of Sergio Roberto, running off William Carvalho. What we end up seeing there, Sergio Roberto pokes the ball beyond Batra into right half space for Vidal darting in between the center backs. So Vidal breaks in between the center backs, he's able to hold off Batra, and he pulls back the ball between Moreno and Rodriguez coming across into the path of Roberto, but he lets the ball fall into the path of Messi, who curls an effort on goal that is pushed away. Umtiti did break forward shortly after that, clipping the ball over Canales, marking Sergio Roberto and Fakir for Semedo. But similar to the first half, when he got into those positions, he struggled to get the better of Moreno. We did see both managers turn to their bench. Artur came on for Vidal, and we ended up seeing Jordi Alba push forward for Firpo. And we also saw Laurent Moran come on for Borja Iglesias. But once again, it was Barcelona creating the chances through their fullbacks, and this time it did see De Jong slide the ball out into the path of Jordi Alba pushing forward, and that did force Emerson to step into his path. But Alba squared the ball across the edge of the box into Sergio Roberto running ahead of Moreno, but he let it go once again for Messi, who was able to pick up the ball, dart across Batra into that right half space, and before Rodriguez could come across to make a challenge, he fired another shot on goal goal that was saved. Messi and Alba also combined in that second half, which nearly saw Messi chip the goalkeeper to put Barcelona ahead. And later on, we also saw Joaquin come on for William Carvalho. But the game was ultimately decided by Messi once again from a set piece, and he was able to clip a deep free kick into the box that ended up seeing Lenglet peel away from Batra to climb over Rodriguez and nod the ball into the far post as the keeper slipped. Lenglet and Fakir were sent off shortly after that, and the game kind of fizzled out once we saw 10v10. But we didn't see an overall improvement in the tactical battle in that second half, and it was largely shaped in the first half, where we saw Betis's pressing force Barcelona into mistakes, but varied movement and some improved displays from De Jong, and we also saw the fullbacks pushing forward that helped Barcelona get over the line. But let me know what you guys think. What's your overall assessment of Quique Setien thus far? And do you think that these performances are helping Barcelona get on track in their title race with Real Madrid? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And once again, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.